Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel for a brand new Chelsea news video. Today, we're going to be talking about player departures. We're going to be talking about speculative loan moves for some young Chelsea players for next season. And of course, we're going to be talking about the big one that would break Chelsea's transfer record. So stay tuned till the end of this video today to make sure you don't miss anything. Subscribe to the George Benson Football Channel if you wouldn't mind, if you don't want to miss a brand new video, because although I took a week's break last week, I'm officially back in the game and I'll be making brand new videos every day to hopefully entertain you guys during this period of time where football is going to be gone for pre-season, where the football starts again next season in early September. Chelsea are now out of Europe and it means that we can focus on building Frank Lampard's team that can hopefully elevate from 4th into Premier League title contenders for next season. So, before we talk about building, let's talk about two players that have left our football club. A lot of people have said to me, what do you think? How do you feel about Willian's leaving and Pedro leaving as well? Two players that together have put together a combined total of 12 years of football at our club. Willian for 7, Pedro for 5. I'm going to start off by talking about Pedro. Pedro's one of my favourites. He's always been someone who, whether he's on the ball, whether he doesn't have the ball, you just see him, even though he's flipping short, you see him just running around everywhere, tenacious, trying to win the ball back, trying to take players on, running at defenders. Sometimes positionally, he's a little bit all over the place, but it's because he doesn't stop flipping running. He always wants the ball. And I want to say a massive thank you to Pedro Rodriguez for some incredible moments at Chelsea Football Club, particularly that one day at Goodison Park, you know, when we're all getting excited because we're gonna win the league. It's a boring game of football between Chelsea and Everton. It was 0-0 for about 65 minutes of the dullest action that any person could watch in sport. All of a sudden, Pedro Rodriguez is there, the little Spaniard. He's won it all. He's there twisting, turning outside the box, and he whips it in with his left into the top corner, sending Chelsea fans in the away end into raptures. We went absolutely crazy, and it sparked us to go on and score a couple more goals. 3-0 away win. Antonio Conte, the rest of the staff and players come over to us at the side at Goodison. We all go mental, and it was all down to that wonderful goal from Pedro Rodriguez. I also want to tell you a story about one of the only times I've left the game before half-time to go down for a pint in the turnstiles at Stamford Bridge. I hate leaving before the whistle's gone. And we were playing Spurs, of course, at home, and the game was 1-0 to Tottenham. Eriksen scored that wonder goal. We're not playing very well, we're struggling, and we're all there thinking, geez, like, we don't want to be at the Bridge for the first time that Spurs get a win here in donkey's years. I go down, and as I go down, I look up at the screen, and I see Pedro just waltzing around on the edge of the box, and then boom, whips it past Hugo Lloris into the top corner, sending beers everywhere in the turnstiles. Beautiful again, and I want to say a massive thank you to Pedro for those two memories, as well as the wonderful goal he scored when we beat Arsenal in the Europa League final, as well as a few other worldies as well. So thank you, Pedro. And now we talk about Willian. Now, Willian the Brazilian, he's been here for 7 years. 7 years that have always been good, some pretty good, never world-class, incredible, phenomenal, but Willian's always been a player who's turned up for Chelsea. Big games, particularly the one before Christmas, away at Spurs again. The song as well. We're gonna miss singing that one. We can't sing it anymore because he's gone to Arsenal. I'll talk about my thoughts on that one in a moment. But Willian at Chelsea. I remember the free kick he scored against Dynamo Kiev when the whole stadium was starting to go against the team, but with the manager Jose Mourinho, one man who never let anyone down. In that season when Mourinho left the second time was Willian. He whipped that free kick in against Kiev, and he was very good for Chelsea in that season, maybe one of his best. And I think this season as well, I'm going to be doing a player ratings video in tomorrow's video where we talk individually about each player's performances. I think Willian has been very good for Chelsea this season. I think he's had a great year. And again, it's always been one of those where he was overshadowed by Eden Hazard because Eden Hazard's a better player. But Willian's been a great servant to Chelsea. 7 years. I've got to talk, though, about my feelings about him going to Arsenal. So Chelsea offer him a 2-year contract. Willian's 31 years old, turning 32, or he might already be 32. I can't remember. But Chelsea offer him 2 years. Willian and his agent are like, nope, we want 3. Chelsea Football Club, we don't offer 3-year deals for players over the age of 30. Hopefully, unless it's Kai Havertz or Timo Werner who's going to break the club's goal-scoring record when he turns 30 years old. Then we can offer him a 5-year deal. But we're talking hypothetical things here. Hopefully, the GBFC channel will have a couple million subscribers by then. But Willian wanted 3, and Arsenal come knocking, you know, that like medium-sized club in North London who are gonna No, yeah, Willian's getting old, so it's probably good that he's not playing European football next season. Arsenal come knocking on the door. 3 years. Willian's like, Chelsea, I want 3. Can you give me 3? No. All right, cool. I'm going to Arsenal. My contract's over. Get a little sign-on bonus. Get some good wages. For 3 years, it makes sense. And although I don't like it personally because, you know, Willian's been our player for 7 years. He's been a bit of a fan favourite despite a few people hating him. To go to Arsenal, it's a bit like, oh, come on. But at the end of the day, he's a professional footballer. I admire what he's trying to do. And yeah, next season, Willian's probably going to be playing against Chelsea. Willian, I can't really wish you luck for your endeavours on the field because it's Arsenal. But best of luck with your businesses in London. It'll be nice to see you back with your best mate David again. So yeah, cheers Willie. But Arsenal, come on mate. We move on from that now. We've spoken about Willian. We've spoken about Pedro. Chelsea, that means we're probably going to have to replace both of those players by signing another winger. You're probably already thinking Benson. Please talk about the defence. We've already got Werner, we've already got Ziyech, we've got Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's got a wonder goal against Bayern Munich that was offside. I still want to go for the Algerian Said Benrahma. There's not been any progressions with this deal, so I can't come and break any news. But Said Benrahma, the Algerian from Brentford, he could sit on the bench if he's not getting starting minutes, and he's one of those players that can completely change a game with a bit of electric skill and pace, and I think he would be the perfect replacement to come in to replace the squad names of Willian and Pedro. So I'm not going to address that story anymore because there's another one that deserves talking about that's a little bit crazy, really. I don't really understand it, but Liverpool are supposedly after Tony Rudiger. Tony Rudiger, this season at Chelsea, hasn't really been there in any shining lights. We've seen a couple of good games. He had that game against Leicester where he scored twice. Defensively, though, Rudiger's not filled anyone with the most confidence this season, and Liverpool are supposedly looking for Rudiger to come in and bolster up their defensive options. What do I think about this one? Well, it all depends on whether or not Chelsea are actually going to go in heavily for centre-backs in the market. I think that Declan Rice is the one that Chelsea want. He's the one that I think would come in and be a perfect partner for Zuma as the first choice centre-back pairing. I mentioned that in my 6 Things We Learnt video earlier today. You should go and watch it if you haven't already seen it. But Rudiger to Liverpool, this story's starting to gather a little bit of momentum, and I think that what we've seen with Frank this season is he doesn't trust any or many of the centre-backs at the club, and I think that if he was to have his say on whether or not he wants Rudiger there next season, if the right offer for the right amount of money comes in from Liverpool for Rudiger, it gives Chelsea more funds to further invest in the centre-back role. And I think it's something that the club and Frank Lampard and probably Rudiger as well, if he knows that he's not Chelsea's first choice centre-back next season, he's not going to go to Liverpool and be first choice over Van Dijk, but I think it's a move that we could see happen. So let me know your thoughts. Do you want to see Rudiger go to Liverpool? Would you rather see him be sold to somewhere else in Europe? Or do you think Rudiger has a future at Chelsea? Let me know what you think of that story in the comments down below. And we move into another centre-back who has been on loan this season at Red Bull Leipzig, had another great performance away at Spurs in the Champions League when Leipzig went there and won, when our striker scored a goal in London, Timo Werner. Ethan Ampadu, the man who some people think should be back at Chelsea next season. It is something that I would love to know your thoughts on again in the comments. Ethan Ampadu, 20 years old, the Welshman who can play in CDM or he can also play in centre-back. Do I personally believe that Ethan Ampadu at 20 years old is ready to come in and fix Chelsea's defensive problems? I don't think that he is, but what I do know is that he's got a lot of ability already, he's got a lot of potential, and going forward, I think he's going to be a top-class Premier League player. The story and the reason why Ethan Ampadu features in today's transfer news video is because there are rumours that he could be going on loan next season to Fulham. Now, when I think about this, I think this is the absolutely perfect move for Ethan Ampadu and, of course, Chelsea. Ethan Ampadu this season has shown at Leipzig that he's very mature for his age with what he can do defensively with his ability. Fulham, next season, after we've already seen they came up to the Premier League, conceded a bucket ton of goals, went down, they came back up again this year in the playoffs. What we know with Fulham next season in the Prem is that they might be very nice going forward at times, but defensively, they're going to be peppered. They're going to be bombarded by Premier League attacks, and the likelihood is they're going to concede a lot of goals. Seeing Ethan Ampadu as a starting centre-back at Fulham would give Chelsea a really good idea about how Ethan Ampadu can cope in a Premier League side, playing against Premier League attackers week in, week out. The one issue with his loan move to Leipzig this season is that he didn't get enough minutes, and I think that if Chelsea are going to allow Ethan Ampadu to go out on loan, there needs to be some kind of clause which says that Ethan Ampadu will play a certain amount of minutes. Obviously, you can't guarantee anything because it's football and Fulham primarily have to field their best team. And if Ethan Ampadu isn't in good form, they're not going to pick him. But I think the conversation needs to be had because I think if Ampadu does go on loan to Fulham, it would be the perfect move to give him that Premier League experience in a team where defending is going to be something they'll do a lot of. Not only that, it's also just down the road from Chelsea as well. So I think it's a move that makes so much sense. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And we move into the final story, the fifth story of the day. You know who it is. It's the man who's been, I called it months ago on the channel and it still hasn't gone through. Personal terms supposedly agreed. Chelsea need to agree a fee for Kai Havertz. Football is done now for Kai Havertz at Bayer Leverkusen. Bayer Leverkusen's season is over. Thanks to Chelsea's former manager, Antonio Conte. Inter Milan 2, Bayer Leverkusen 1 in the Europa League. Bayer Leverkusen are out. Surely, this now means that Chelsea can push the deal for Kai Havertz over the line. There's been a lot of talk and a lot of rumours about the reason why this deal hasn't gone through is because Havertz was in the Leverkusen squad for their Europa League game against Inter Milan. So therefore, with Bayer Leverkusen trying to secure Champions League football next season through the Europa League, Havertz was still on the books, he's still contracted to Bayer Leverkusen, so of course he was in the squad. What I think Chelsea are doing is with a deal this big, you don't really want to tread on anyone's toes, you don't want there to be any excuses as to why Bayer Leverkusen would continue to reject Chelsea's approaches for the player. Now that the football is done, hopefully, Chelsea can get the things over the line in terms of matching the deal financially that Bayer Leverkusen want. Supposedly, Chelsea are offering like 80 million, Bayer Leverkusen want 100, Chelsea are looking to do the deal with cash plus add-ons. Whatever it is in the middle right now that is stopping the clubs coming to that agreement, please, Chelsea, get this one over the line. Every single time I watch anything on YouTube or listen to any footballing pundit or any analyst who knows anything about our sport, every time they speak about Kai Havertz, they speak about him in a tone that's totally different to other young players with potential across Europe. Kai Havertz has got the potential to be one of the best in the world. And even at 100 million euros, I see him being a bargain for Chelsea's future. You've got Barcelona spending 140 million on flipping Dembele. Havertz is even on a different level to him. And if Chelsea want to get this deal over the line, I pray that we don't faff around for too long because there's always that thought that's now in the back of my mind that if Jadon Sancho isn't going to United, Man United might just be like, you know what, Chelsea, screw you, we're going to hijack this Havertz deal. And I think that Chelsea, in the next 48 hours, it's absolutely key. Whatever conversations are going on, Havertz wants to move to Chelsea. We've seen that. It's not a case of, will Chelsea pay me enough? Bayer Leverkusen are holding out for as much as they can for their talisman player. So, without any further ado, Chelsea, please Roman, please Marina, get this one done. So we've spoken a lot about players leaving today. We've spoken a bit about Havertz. Hopefully that deal can now be done with Bayer Leverkusen being out of the Europa League. Let me know your thoughts on all of the stories we've discussed today in the comments down below. I want to say a big thank you for watching. Hit the like button if you did enjoy. Follow me on Twitter. Links to those are down below. And if you want to join my Discord server, it's just $1 a month and it goes towards supporting the channel. Thank you guys for watching. Come on, you Blues. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.